Very warm welcome to Amishakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shackle. Following are the latest news headlines which have been reported by American, European, Canadian, Asian, African, and Australian news channels and all other news agencies. So please, let's go to the news.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The dangerous air quality concerns in parts of the U.S. as dozens of wildfires burn out of control in Canada. The tariff trade war, why the European Union and China are now pushing back, and the new travel warning from the CDC about the measles. First, the air quality alerts in the Midwest. Smoke crawling over the border from those massive Canadian wildfires. Major cities like Minneapolis could be impacted. More than 180 fires burning across Canada. More than 90 out of control. And another severe weather threat days after deadly tornadoes swept through parts of the South. Our weather team standing by. The new fallout from President Trump's promise to raise tariffs on all imported steel and aluminum to 50%. The EU threatening action amid the worldwide tariff whiplash. And Democrats demanding answers about President Trump's recent spate of pardons. Many can be traced to major donors and supporters, including the Chrisleys of reality TV fame. And what the president said when asked about music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The new measles warning from the CDC for travelers ahead of the busy summer season. Gunfire in Chicago, leaving several teens wounded in a drive-by shooting across the street from a Catholic church and school. What police are saying. Dramatic rescue, a hiker pinned for hours under a 700-pound boulder, how he survived. The stinging operation to capture 14 million bees that escaped from an overturned trailer. Tonight, the growing salmonella outbreak linked to cucumbers. 18 states now reporting cases. The Pacers hope to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals, but can they get past the surging New York Knicks? And America strong tonight, the college baseball team that made history by being perfect.
From BBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Whiplash in the trade and a new CDC travel warning. But we begin with the dangerous air threat in this from the rate fires. Satellite images show some of the 180 fires burning in Canada. Dozens are out.
The West sizzles in a pre-summer heat wave. Temperatures extreme and record-breaking. The heat shifting east, the Midwest struggling to breathe. Smoke from Canada as the wildfire season there is off to a ferocious start.
I'm meteorologist Andrew Kozak. I'm tracking how long the smoke's going to stick around, how hot the temperatures are going to get, and what's next as we begin June.
Also tonight,
I'm Ifyas Tayev in Tel Aviv. The Trump administration has said negotiations for a ceasefire in Gaza has been set back after Hamas asked for amendments to the proposed deal. This as Israeli strikes intensify.
steel deal. President Trump touts a new merger while doubling tariffs on foreign steel. But will American consumers be paying the price? Plus, Elon Musk getting out of Doge. Pardon power.
And I have no shame.
A convicted reality star now a free man, courtesy of the president.
I'm Allie Bauman in New York, as some are alleging a flurry of presidential pardons are waivers to his supporters.
And later, need a little help around the house? CBS's Itai Hodge shows us how college students are cutting rent in pricey San Francisco.
Some delicious pasta, olive oil, and some sea salt.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good morning. TV News can exclusively reveal that almost 1,200 migrants crossed the channel yesterday. It's a brand new record, with border officials forced to call on fishing boats for assistance.
The government lost control of borders. I'm determined that we'll retake control of the borders.
But with action promised and the crisis worsening, when will Britain see the results?
Well, the promise of the government to smash the gangs is looking a bit hollow this morning. The fact is, we have never had so many people in a single day at this early point in the year. We're over 40% ahead of where we were last year.
Biggest increase in defence spending for this country since the end of the Cold War.
Defence Secretary John Healey says there is no doubt the UK will spend 3% of GDP on defence at some point in the next Parliament, but with the nation's finances already stretched, will we see further benefits and public services slashed to fund the boost?
Prince Harry reportedly sought advice from Princess Diana's brother about changing his own family name to Spencer. According to the Daily Mail, he discussed the issue with Earl Spencer, but was told that legal hurdles would be insurmountable.
It is, first and foremost, a punishment.
Well, that's the Justice Secretary, stating the obvious really, but is it time to take punishment one step further and ban Britain's most dangerous prisoners from receiving money from their family? We'll talk to Anne Widdicombe about that later.
France is set to ban smoking in public areas frequented by children. So should Britain follow suit and stop out smoking of all types in all public spaces?
And believe it or not, it's summer today, or at least meteorologically speaking. But as the countdown to barbecues and beach trips begins, is it going to live up to expectations, or are we going to be disappointed?
In the past couple of weeks, where we've had a CT scan done 1 or 2 days after the chest x-ray's been done, and they've started down that lung cancer pathway within 1 or 2 days of seeing the GP.
And that's the power of AI in the NHS, with Scotland trialling early cancer and head trauma detection. It's hoped that will cut waiting times from weeks to minutes. Is this the transformation we need to slash waiting times?
Well, there you go. It was a bit of a shocker for Doctor Who fans last night. Ncuti Gatwa finishing his time in the TARDIS. Billy Piper appearing in his place. What does all that mean? Stephanie Tetchy will be in the studio later.
They were magnifique in Munich. Paris Saint-Germain end their agonising wait for a Champions League triumph with a record-breaking 5-0 win over Inter at the Allianz Arena. And at the French Open tennis, 2 British men making through to round 16 for the first time ever.
Well, it's the start of meteorological summer, but has the weather got the memo? I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
Just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I have listened to some horrific stories about things that have gone on in our system. And whether you believe it or not, because I was you at some point, even though this pardon has happened, I still was convicted of something that I did not do. It could be you. It could be you.
Reality TV star and convicted fraudster Todd Chrisley there, among those getting a flurry of high-profile pardons and commutations from President Trump in recent days. The president's pardon czar says Chrisley and his wife were overly sentenced by a weaponized judicial system. The list of celebrities and political figures pardoned has critics crying foul. Former felony prosecutor and trial attorney Andrea Lewis joins us now. So the Chrisley case in particular, what do you think of the president's pardons of those two?
Well, it's certainly interesting, John, and it has, you mentioned, it has really caused a lot of criticism and controversy here. Mainly, people are saying, look, this isn't fair. These people are high-profile, wealthy, white people who came out and stole, according to the allegations, over $30 million. And the allegations here don't even appear to be challenged by the Trump administration. No one has come out and said that they were not guilty. What the administration has said is they were over-sentenced. So the critics are saying, well, what is the appropriate sentence then for someone who is allegedly stole over $30 million? If not 7 or 12 years, what is it? And that's where we are with that case.
I want to put up on screen the list of some of the pardons and commutations that the president has issued just within the last week or 10 days. There are some pretty well-known names among them. Among John Rowland, the former governor of Connecticut. Then you see Todd and Julie Chrisley down there near the bottom. Also the commutations of Harry O. and Larry Hoover. It is in the president's power. I mean, the Constitution gives him that power to do it. Generally, presidents wait until the last couple of days of their administrations, but President Trump isn't shy about trotting out his pardon pen early on.
That's true, John. And here's the thing. There is no question he has the power to do it. He certainly does. I think the question that some people are raising at this point is, should he be doing it on some of these people? Now,
on this Saturday night, wildfire worries, the flames pushing across the prairies, forcing many to flee their homes.
Trying to come to grips with the very real reality that our home may not be there.
How communities are stepping up to help evacuees. A new tariff threat from Donald Trump, the potential impact on Canada's critical steel industry. And the U.S. president revokes legal status for hundreds of thousands of migrants. Many now living in fear of an ICE ambush and immediate deportation. And ratifying its own constitution.
It feels amazing. First thing I thought about this morning when I woke up was the Constitution.
How BC's Haudenosaunee Nation is entering a new era of self-governance.
Global National, reporting tonight, Chris Davis.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Across the prairies tonight, more communities are being told to evacuate immediately with the aggressive start to the wildfire season in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. The latest numbers show over 620,000 hectares have been scorched. That's an area bigger than the size of Prince Edward Island. It's 40% more ground lost than the 10-year average, and it's only just the start of the season. The wildfires are...
Tonight on PBS News Weekend, smoke from raging Canadian wildfires drifts into the United States, triggering air quality warnings across the upper Midwest. Then how lawmakers across the country are trying to rein in citizen-led ballot initiatives. And we follow a group of rehabilitated seals making their way back into the sea off the coast of Rhode Island.
And so important to protect the species because prior to the 1970s, the populations were almost completely decimated.
Africa News. The news.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, pressure is mounting on Justice Minister Constant Mutumba after explosive allegations over a multi-million-dollar no-bid contract and suspicious fund transfers. On Tuesday, lawmakers grilled the Attorney General for 6 hours and Mutumba for 5. The focus, a $29 million deal awarded without competition and a $19 million payment to Zion Construction, wired just 1 day after the company opened its bank account. The funds didn't come from the state treasury, but from Free VAO, the agency managing $325 million in war reparations from Uganda. That agency falls under Mutumba's direct authority. Defending himself, the minister admitted to errors and asked for forgiveness, but claimed he's the target of political revenge. He also blamed tensions with Prime Minister Judith Suminwa for a toxic work climate. Lawmakers say the accusations are serious and the judiciary must be allowed to act. Mutumba's future in government now hangs in the balance. In Bentiu, South Sudan, people are living on a small area of dry land. Most of the land around them is still covered by floodwater from heavy rain in 2020. Every rainy season brings new danger as water levels rise again and threaten homes and camps.
Now, people are living safely. There is no water. As you can see, the water is surrounding the area.
But the danger isn't over yet. More heavy rains are expected.
I would say we wished, of course, we didn't have the dikes in place. We didn't have the flooding, and the dikes were not required. But unfortunately, we have the dikes because of to respond to the climate shocks. Our longer-term plan is more to work with the government, the state,
so that we build the capacity of the state, local communities.
UN peacekeepers from Pakistan and Mongolia are helping local teams to build and watch over the flood barriers. These strong walls help stop the water from reaching homes, camps and UN offices. In 2022, a break in one of the walls put 300,000 people's lives at risk. It was supposed to be a night to remember for Shakira fans. The pop star cancelled her Saturday night performance at Nationals Park, part of the opening weekend of World Pride 2025, a global LGBTQ+ celebration happening now in Washington, D.C. Organisers say equipment problems from her cancelled Boston show meant her full stage setup couldn't make it to D.C. on time. The Capital Pride Alliance says the opening ceremony will be relocated, but the full schedule of Pride events will go ahead as planned. While international turnout is down due to backlash against President Trump's LGBTQ+ policies, tourism officials say US interest is picking up and strong crowds are expected in the final days. And
Today, the Prime Minister brushes off calls from the US to lift Australia's defence spending.
What we'll do is we'll determine our defence policy.
While China accuses Washington of playing with fire after the US Defence Secretary tells a security conference a Chinese invasion of Taiwan could be imminent. Hamas responds to a ceasefire proposal with Israel, seeking guarantees to end the Gaza war, but the US slams its demands as unacceptable. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Selena Edmonds. The Prime Minister has brushed off calls from the United States to lift Australia's defence spending. Anthony Albanese was responding to suggestions from the US that Australia should lift spending to 3% of GDP. Meanwhile, the Defence Minister, Richard Marles, has criticised China's lack of transparency on its own military build-up. Political reporter Tom Lowry is from Prime Minister asked about its defence spending earlier today.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. On today's show, a warning that an assisted dying model used in Oregon and proposed for the UK is far from safe. And in sports, we'll have news of not one but two Brits making it to round 4 of the French Open. It's Sunday the 1st of June. Sky News that the current assisted dying bill is not fit for purpose and should be scrapped. Backing up defence spending, the government plan to invest billions in rearmament military at a time of growing threats and global security. Prime Minister accused of losing control of the borders as hundreds of migrants cross the English Channel. Plus, how
Presented by Cheeky Godula and Florence News.
Welcome back to the France Newsroom here in Paris. You're watching Daybreak, and I'm Catherine Viet. It's time now for a quick look at some of the top stories we'll be following this hour. France's Paris Saint-Germain wins its first Champions League title after defeating rival Inter Milan 5-0 in Munich. Much of France has been celebrating the victory with excited fans thronging the Champs-Élysées here in Paris. The second round of Poland's presidential election is held today. Polling station open. In the knife edge race, polls will be choosing between two visions: or victory, style nationalism, or pro-EU integration. And And Palestinian militant group Hamas has reacted to a U.S. ceasefire proposal for Gaza, saying it's seeking amendments. A response Washington's chief negotiator Steve Witkoff called totally unacceptable.
This is Asia Now.
Hello, it's 2 p.m. in Singapore and 11:30 in your day, 1 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Angela Lin. Singapore's new Defence Minister Tan Chun Sing says the country will not take sides amid geopolitical rivalries, but if forced to choose, it will side with principles that support a global order. China pushes back and tells the US not to play with fire after the Pentagon's chief warned of an imminent threat to Taiwan. Beijing says it has lodged representations with Washington over comments by US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who accused China of seeking to upend the balance of power in Asia. And the European Union says it is ready to retaliate after US President Donald Trump doubled tariffs on steel and
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shekel 5858. I am Amir Shekel. Have a good life. Bye-bye.